But hopefully it was still a good learning experience for all of you. Sorry, I'm going to paint over it today. So for today, you might want to work big. I'm going to encourage you to do that if you can. Grab your biggest canvas, paint over something if you want to. Hi, Jason. Get your brushes out. Get out your weird brushes. Like I'm going to work with this brush today. This is a large round brush. Fan brushes are fun. Like any kind of interesting mark making tool that you have would be fun to work with today. You might want to have some containers like this handy for mixing up larger batches of paint. But I also have my trusty palette that's covered with freezer paper on hand because I'm going to be using it. I'm going to be using some markers, some charcoal, just anything I can grab. And I want to just encourage you to work that way as well. Hi, Denise. Awesome to see you. So before we get into it, I want to talk a little bit about the abstract expressionist painters. I may have talked about them. Some of you, this might be a review from my abstract art class, but the reason why I want to call attention to them is this was a group of painters that started painting after World War II. And they were looking for a new form of expression because they had just lived through World War II. I mean, the movement began in New York City, but still, I never realized how much Americans were affected by the war. So a lot of them were Americans. Some of them also had come over from Europe, but they basically had endured this pretty intense upheaval in history. Fascism, the atom bomb, and just really discovering the realities of World War II and like the upheaval that it inflicted. So they were interested in pursuing a new form of creativity. And I just want to talk about that a little bit because we are in this intense time right now. And I know all around out there in the world, people are making some interesting art, and hopefully we're going to get to see that more and more in the months ahead. But I just want to also let you have permission. I mean, this is such a great opportunity. You're in your studio alone. I'm not watching you. No one else is watching you. Feel free to get as weird with it as you have to. Let this be a therapy for you if you need it. Hey, Jen. Hey, Joanne. Awesome to see you guys. So I just say that because I also like to have you really think about process today. Don't worry so much about the final outcome. Enjoy your materials. This is a great opportunity for you to just really experiment with your materials and the paint, the gooiness of the paint, and really enjoy that. Yay. So before I get into it, just want to show you maybe some paintings of inspiration. I know this is backwards, but Joan Mitchell is such an awesome painter. And she did these really immediate gestural paintings using a lot of paint and layers and obliteration. Definitely look her up. Elaine de Kooning is another one to look up. But I'm going to encourage you to do that today. She worked with oil paint. We're going to be working with acrylics. But still, let this be some of your inspiration today. This is one I really love. So we will go ahead get started. So to begin with, actually, we're going to work a little bit more intuitively. So in order to just kind of shake it off, grab a marker or charcoal, maybe grab both of them. And to begin with, I think a really nice way to ease into this is to just close your eyes. take a deep breath and just start drawing. Just start letting a line emerge. I've got my eyes closed. I don't know about you all. Another fun thing to do is to put your drawing tool in your non-dominant hand and work that way. I'll do more of that. I'm going to work with the charcoal a little bit here also. If you see something in your studio that you feel compelled to maybe add a little piece of into your drawings right now, like I've got a plant here that's kind of nice, so I might even just put it in here, a remnant, a fragment of it in here. Hi, Sarah. So just to recap for people who have come in a little bit later, we are starting this abstract painting today with just an intuitive drawing moment. Using whatever tools you have handy. I'm using my paint marker, I'm using a charcoal. You could use, I even have some crayons here. If you remember, oil pastels. Now these aren't compatible with acrylic paint, but I'm going to just use it anyway. It might work more like a resist than I used to do crayon resist a lot when I was a kid, so decided I'd just get into it right now too. So whatever drawing tools you have, try them out. And like I said before, we have no idea where this is going. Just enjoy the process. Don't worry about the final outcome. We're going to be working on this for another 30 or 40 minutes, so it's going to change a lot. I'm going to go ahead and turn my canvas around also. Oops. Why not? Hi, Ursula. Or hi. So it's from Lauren. Is that Lauren Whitley? Which Lauren is that? I wonder. Very exciting. All right. So just get into your intuitive drawing. Sometimes with the big canvas, I'll just hone in on one little section. Maybe do some cross hatching. I like the sound it makes. So I've sprayed some water on there to see if it would make these markers bleed a little bit. It's making the charcoal definitely bleed. Oh, by the way, you might want to put, if you are working big, you might want to put some kind of a drop cloth or something down underneath your easel to catch any drips of paint you might have. I'm going to go ahead and grab some acrylic glazing fluid and put some of that on my palette. I'm going to grab one of my big brushes and just see if maybe some of this will smear, like the charcoal should smear. I don't know if I mean, with my paint markers, some of them are smearing also. But depending on what surface you're working on, you're going to get a different effect. All that's just from a single charcoal. If you're working with charcoal on a primed canvas, it really blends a lot. Try different movements with your brush also. Okay, I'm gonna mix a color now. I'm gonna mix like a sepia brownish color. And I'll go ahead and put it in a little container. So this, I'm mixing some red in there. Gonna put some water in there. And I have this phthalo green high flow ink. So I'm gonna put like 1 drop in there. Maybe I put 2 or 3 in there. Mix it around and let's just see what kind of color we get here. What do I get? So let's see. I'll go ahead, spray some water down on my canvas. I love that color. And again, I'm just getting into the way the paint feels. When I first started painting abstractly, it was with oil paint, and I had been working representationally for several years, but I just got really bored. So I started taking my paint and I started doing this. I just started dripping it off the top of the canvas. And then I got into like turning it like that so that the drips would start going that way. I'm gonna do it like that now, upside down. This brush is so fun. It's a large round brush. So I'm just working with the paint fairly fluidly right now. We'll build up with thicker layers. Okay. So now I'm going to use a slightly thicker paint. This is all pretty transparent, pretty thin. I'm going to go ahead and take some of my white, and I'm actually going to mix a teeny tiny bit of blue in it. I'm feeling like I want to see some light blue here. So I'm going to grab another fairly large brush. And while this is wet, I'm going to just go ahead and paint into it. Really enjoy that process. People get scared sometimes to paint into a painting if it's wet. But this is a great opportunity to just try it out. Try blending your colors. Hi, Lisa, you should join us. I have just a teeny tiny bit of blue. I'm mixing a little yellow into my paint now, and I'm getting it a little greener than before. You might see some shapes starting to come up that you could outline and define a little bit more. Just an example, let's see, right here, there's this kind of square thing happening here. So now I just pulled that to the foreground. So you might see moments like that where you could pull out a shape. Something you could do that's really fun is take just a regular old eraser on a pencil and make some marks through some of the wet paint. I also have this rubber tipped brush, it's called. And originally this tool was used for pottery, but it also will carve through wet paint. It's pretty fun. But yeah, just see how many different ways you can create marks in your painting. You might even just take your pencil and draw through it again. Don't want to ruin my black marker too much, so I'm not going to draw it into the wet paint with it, but maybe just around some of the paint. All right, I'm going to go ahead and mix up a dark color for myself. So I'm going to take my burnt umber, alizarin crimson, dark red, and my dark blue, phthalo blue in this case. And I'm going to mix them together. And I think I'm going to use my big brush again, this one. If you have to, keep spray bottle handy. Spray your paint on your palette to keep it wet. Hi, Ilana. Something I really like doing is taking the paint right from the tube and drawing with it. I might try that. You can put in things that are recognizable. I've got this awesome cat book, so I'm gonna put somewhere in here, I'm gonna put a cat. Not sure if it will stay there, but we'll see. Another thing I like to do is take the paint and just lob it right on the canvas. Let's see, I'll do red. Do some purple. White. Some more white. Okay. See, if you put the paint on thick, take a credit card or something and smear it. You can get this cool rainbowy thing happening. Oops, I went into my cat. So I'll just have to paint over the cat. It's kind of fun to try that. I'll leave it for now. So yeah, we're basically just exploring different ways to apply the paint also. I got some thick paint on here. How's everyone doing out there? Love that. Thanks, Jennifer. Sometimes the paint does just get too wet and you want to kind of hold off for a minute, but I'm going to keep going. It's kind of wet right here, so I might do a little bit of something over here. You could start thinking about resolving the painting now. Something that I'm, it really, I gotta say, when I'm working this way with the camera, I can see the painting on the computer screen, and it's actually kind of cool. That rainbow-y thing down here. I don't know if I want to ruin that, though. Let's see. Okay, I'm just going to go for it. And if it doesn't work, I tried. All right, yeah, I like that. I'm going to put some green in here. Someone once told me that paintings with green don't sell. I don't know if that's true. I want to get this really gooey. Prime medium stuff is really fun because it gets your paint super gooey. I'm going to put them into my green here. Put some moisture on there. Sometimes you need to work flat also. I'm going to work flat for a second here. Sorry, you won't be able to see what I'm doing. Or maybe I can angle this down a little bit. There we go. One thing I'll say about acrylics is that when they're wet and when you're working with them, they can be like really juicy and fun and wonderful, but then sometimes they dry and you kind of lose that luster, unfortunately, because they shrink a little bit when they dry. I have not quite figured out the remedy to that. You could try putting some glossy medium on it after it's dried. They also tend to dry more transparent. So whatever color is underneath will come through the painting. Okay. I'm really curious how everyone's doing out there. I hope y'all are painting up a storm, getting messy. These fan brushes are pretty fun to use also. One of the things that's different for us working now with acrylics as opposed to the abstract expressionists working after World War II with their oils is their colors weren't as vibrant. The pigments weren't as bright as they are now. So that's something I see a lot of today in acrylic painting, is I see people really exploiting that brightness factor in their paintings because it's fun. I'm here painting, trying to stay encouraged to try new ways of putting paint on. Yes, Roberta, do weird stuff. No one can see you. That's what's kind of nice about this format, actually, is that no one's going to see you get weird with it. You can mix up a little cup of paint, very fluid paint, and pour it on. So I'm gonna use some of my glazing medium. I'm gonna use some of my pouring medium just because I have it. And then I need the right color. What do I want? Maybe I'll do a lavender. So I'll put some purple in there and some white. These high flow acrylics are really nice to put into like a more fluid mixture like this because they blend right into it. They mix right into it. It's like food coloring. That I have, let's see. All right. I'm not sure if I'll regret this, but here it goes. All right, I'm starting to splatter here. Now you can see the paint dripping. This is also a really fun opportunity if you want to add paper, decorative paper into this. Let's see here. I'm so sad I actually have a bunch of my mixed media art supplies are still at AB Tech because I thought I'd be going back and getting them. I got a piece of plaid here. I'm going to put that in. So if your paint is still wet, it's an adhesive. I'm going to just put that right in there because it's wet still. All right, this needs a little bit more to adhere. I'm just going to take my paint and put it under here. All right. What else? What else do I have here? I love these kind of craft paints. This one dries this sparkly color. Got some silver here. Put some of that on. Told my husband I wouldn't use glitter because it just gets everywhere. I'm gonna open this. I'm literally like chewing off this. This is my favorite thing about having a studio is you just get to like get messy, and then, you know, it's just my space that I can get messy in. Okay, so I'm just putting a little bit of this like pink glittery stuff. It's going to dry pretty transparent and sparkly. Yeah, your painting's going to look different when it dries. Just shout out or warning. I'm really okay. Well, this went into a direction that I didn't expect. I had no idea what direction this was going to go in. I think what I'm going to do, since we've been doing this now an hour, is I am going to, look, you can see the paint dripping up there in the corner. It's just like blobbing down. I'm going to let this dry and we'll see where it goes from here.